Hello friends, welcome back to another video from Shomu's Biology. In this video lecture, we want to talk about chloroplast structure and function. So basically, I have already made a video regarding chloroplast structure and function, but that is for the basics. Now in this video, I am going to share some information that I definitely believe that you did not know. So something new that you can learn from this video. So let's begin to talk about the chloroplast structure and function. Let me take a color and let's start. The very first thing that I want to say, what is chloroplast? Whenever we say this term chloroplast, we know that that is a green colored organelle, membrane bound, obviously double membrane bound organelle that is present in plants. Basically that carries the antenna pigment, that is chlorophyll, and that helps in the light reaction of photosynthesis, and that's quite the normal thing. If you look at this is how the chloroplast looks like, the green color, the great illustrations of all. Now in very simple terms, I can say they are plano-convex structures and about 5 micrometer in diameter and 2 to 3 micrometer thick. Okay, the chloroplast comprises of the components. So what are the components that the chloroplast usually have? If you look at this picture, you can clearly see it has double layer. So the membrane is double layer, outer membrane and inner membrane, two different layers are there. Okay, the second thing, a granular stroma and matrix. So basically when you talk about the stroma and matrix, so this is the region. Okay, this is the region, we can say the stroma, or we call it as a matrix as well. In mitochondria, that is matrix, here is stroma. It's very similar structure between mitochondria and chloroplast in terms of outer layer and stroma. And this is granular because a lot of components are present in the stroma. Then a lamellar system is also present there, a lamellar system. And the lamellar system here, what we say, the stack like structures, we can clearly see that apart from the stroma, this is the lamellar system in the stroma that is present, stroma lamellae. Okay, so I don't know whether you've heard that earlier or not, but basically the stroma is filled with granules, components which will be beneficial and required for different functions that we are going to study later on, but they are lamellar in nature. Apart from that, there is stack like structure which is thylakoid. Okay, which is not listed here. This is thylakoid. So stack like structure which are stacked with one another, that is thylakoid. Basically thylakoid is separated, and between the outer membrane and inner membrane there is an intermembrane space obviously, and when we say the stack of thylakoids together, thylakoid is individual stacks and the stack of thylakoids together is known as grana. So basically when people say decipher the structure of chloroplast, we say grana, which is stack, and then matrix, which is stroma. But apart from that, the stroma is granular and it contains lamellar structures, and then this outer membrane, inner membrane and intermembrane space. That concludes the structure of chloroplast, but that never stops. There is another, the osmophilic globules are present inside the chloroplast and they are known as plastoglobuli. This is something I think new that you have learned now. Plastoglobuli, which are known as osmophilic globules, and they also contain their own DNA, chloroplast DNA. So chloroplast DNA is something that you need to understand when you are studying advanced, and also plastoglobuli and the function of plastoglobuli, which will come afterward later. So now what we intend to talk here is the components. So very first component we are going to talk about the envelope. Okay, composed of system of double membranes, okay, each of which 50 to 80 angstrom thick. You don't need to understand and remember this how much thick or not, but just remember one thing, it is composed of double membrane, not a single membrane, double membrane. The outer membrane is separated from the inner membrane via the intermembrane space, which is of about 10 nanometers. If you look at this, is a detailed drawing where we know that this is what we are talking about, the envelope, outer membrane, intermembrane space. This is outer membrane, this is inner, so this is inner membrane, this is outer membrane, and this is the intermembrane space. Okay, this is the envelope part. Got it? The granule thylakoids are already mentioned there, and other structures, plastoglobulus, which are present there, starch granules can be present, nucleoids, ribosomes are also found inside the chloroplast, so that is also included in this particular picture. So this is a very good illustration. You should always keep this picture in your mind. You can write it down and try to write it on your brain to understand the structural components of chloroplast. The second structural component we are going to talk about is stroma. Okay, it fills most of the volume of the chloroplast because that is the matrix, right? It contains 50% of the proteins of the chloroplast and contains ribosomes and DNA molecule, which is something that we did not talk about. So it has ribosomes, okay, and it also has their own DNA, which is known as mitochondria, in this case chloroplast DNA. Okay, so This is a very basic schematic drawing where we have stroma. So we are talking about the rest of this light blue colored region, that is the maximum constituent. Now the third thing we are going to talk about is thylakoid. Consists of flattened and closed vesicles arranged as membrane of network. So basically they are vesicles. Vesicles means what? They are composed of membrane and they have fluids in the center. So that's vesicles. So vesicles are stacked together upon one another. Okay, maybe stacked like a neat pile of coins forming grana. Okay, there may be 40 to 80 grana in a matrix of a single chloroplast, and thylakoids include light absorbing pigments. So basically the chloroplast that we are discussing about, the most important factor of chloroplast holding on to the antenna pigment, that is chlorophyll, is actually present in the thylakoid. So basically the thylakoid membrane is the structure where the light reaction of photosynthesis is carried out. Now fourth thing is plastoglobuli. Remember plastoglobuli or plastoglobulus? These are osmophilic bodies, lipid rich granules present in stroma. So basically what we know about this is that they are lipid rich components which are present in the stroma. Okay, that is something new. And the fifth thing, the fifth component here, starch granules are present which I am not going to talk about, but chloroplast DNA is something that we need to talk about. Chloroplast DNA is also known as cpDNA, just like mitochondrial DNA is known as mtDNA. Okay, also known as plastid DNA or ptDNA. So if you write it down, that ptDNA or cpDNA, they are same thing. Chloroplast, cp for chloroplast, pt for plastid. Circular DNA. So the DNA is obviously circular in this case. Double stranded DNA molecule. If you look at this in the right hand side, this is the constituents of the DNA. You don't need to recall and remember all this, but just remember the number of base pairs that are present. Okay, approximately. Genome size is 120 to 270 kilo base pair. Majority of the plants fall into 120 to 160 kb. Some cases only plants, one example is given here, which has more than 200 kb, but generally the plants have less than 200 kb size of the chloroplast DNA. It contains about 100 genes to synthesize proteins. So see, think about it, it's not that simple, it's not like 2-3 genes, 100 genes are there inside even a chloroplast DNA that makes the eukaryotic cell so complicated. Even an organelle DNA contains 100 genes. cpDNA regions include large single copy LSC region and small single copy SSC regions, and inverted repeat sequences IRA, IRB sequences. Conifers and a group of legumes lack the inverted repeats. Apart from this, rest of the plants, they all have all the structures. Okay, it includes large single copy LSC region, small single copy SSC region, but the conifers and legumes only lack the inverted repeats, while others contain inverted repeats too. Okay, this is the component of cpDNA or ptDNA. Now there are few genes that I actually enlisted here, which I found really important in terms of their function, which you can remember and think about. Rest of the 100 genes you don't need to go for. So there are 4 genes listed. ATP-B gene. ATP-B gene's location, large single copy region. Remember, large single copy LSC region of the chloroplast. Basically LSC region of the chloroplast means in the whole genome there is this LSC region and SSC region and inverted repeats. Okay, 3 regions. So this ATP is present in the large single copy region segment or large single copy region area. Okay, okay. What is the function? Beta subunit of ATP synthase. Beta subunit of ATP synthase, which functions in the synthesis of ATP via proton translocation. So basically in the light reaction, the electron transport chain is carried out, and in that case we need the ATP synthase enzyme to produce ATP. So that enzyme's beta subunit is produced by ATP-B gene. RBCL, again the location is large single copy region of the chloroplast DNA. What is the function? Large subunit of ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate carboxyl oxygen, which is Rubisco, which functions in the what? Initial fixation of carbon dioxide. So Rubisco is the primary enzyme in the process of carbon fixation, carbon dioxide fixation into the sugar. Okay, in the light independent reaction. So RBCL region actually codes for the large subunit of Rubisco enzyme. It's very crucial enzymes, both of them very crucial genes. So now if they ask you a question that if RBCL region, RBCL is mutated in such a way that the large subunit is not being produced in the plant, so plant cannot have photosynthesis. Plant can have light reactions, but the impact will be in the light independent reactions. Carbon dioxide fixation cannot be done. Now third one is MAT-K, large single copy region. So again, LSC region is the place where MAT-K is present. Maturase enzyme is coded by this gene, which functions in splicing type 2 introns from RNA transcripts. And this is also important because in order to make mature proteins, mature enzymes which will be involved in different functions, you need this MAT-K gene. So MAT-K gene's functions are important. And the last one is NDHF, which is present in small single copy region of the chloroplast DNA. It produces subunit of chloroplast NADH dehydrogenase, which functions in the converting NADH to NAD plus, driving various reactions as well as driving the respiration process. So basically NDHF, this particular gene is responsible for producing the subunit of the chloroplast NADH dehydrogenase enzyme. So chloroplast NADH dehydrogenase enzyme, remember the dehydrogenase enzyme's job is to shuffle between the NADH and NAD plus, and we need both the types NADH and NAD plus. NAD plus in the oxidized form, NADH is the reduced form, and in order to drive different chemical reactions, in order to drive respiration of the cell. And without that, the cell will fail in the respiration, and as a result the energy production in the cell will be reduced, and as a result of which different physiological activities in the cells will be reduced. So this gene NDHF is also very important, but it is a part of SSC, this region. Okay, so these are the 4 important genes that are present in the chloroplast gene DNA, and it's really important. Now what are the functions of chloroplasts? Let's see the functions. The biggest function is listed here, that is photosynthesis. We know that is the site for photosynthesis light reaction. Light reaction, of course, obviously site for photosynthesis light reaction, also the light independent reaction. Thylakoid membranes for the light reactions, dark stroma for the dark reactions. Okay, thylakoid membrane for the light reactions, stroma for the dark reactions. And chloroplast is the site for photorespiration as well, because basically the enzymes that are involved in the process of carbon dioxide fixation, that is rubisco, the most abundant protein there. So the rubisco can do both. It can fix carbon dioxide, it can fix oxygen. Okay, if it fixes oxygen, it will become photorespiration, which is not good, which is bad for the plants. And if it fixes carbon from carbon dioxide, then it will produce food that is desirable. So all these things are possible as a part of chloroplast function. And the chloroplast structure is designed in a way to have that kind of functions. Okay, so that's the overall idea about the chloroplast structure and function. I believe you've learned something new from this lecture. If you learned something new, please share that in the comment section, like this video so that we'll make more cell organelle videos in future. Thank you. Bye.